Hi and welcome to this here review of the Logitech G502 Proteus Spectrum RGB mouse. And as you can see here, we have it right here. We have it hooked up to my PC, and we're going to talk a little bit about it, what my experience has been so far. I've been using this mouse for around a month now, and I am probably saying this is one of the best mice that I have had in a long time. I can't remember actually what mouse was actually better. I had a Razer Ouroboros before, which is a wireless mouse, and I'll have to say one of the reasons why I switched away from the Ouroboros was that because of my large hands, it had the Ouroboros was a little flatter, and I know you could adjust it and all that, but I tried that a lot, and I had the Ouroboros for almost 2 years, actually 2 years, and I just couldn't get it and get it to fit really. So one of the reasons why I switched over to seeing other people giving this here great reviews. Actually, this here is the RGB version. You will notice that the normal G502 has a blue cover right here at the bottom, as you can see right here. And the reason is that I don't know why they went all black. I liked all black, but I actually like the blue tone also, but I think it's going to be more neutral. As you can see, I have all the weight inside here because I actually like that it's heavy, and the weight adjustment can go from without if you don't have anything in it, it goes to 4.3 ounces, which is around 121 grams. And with all the weights, it goes up to 5.9 ounces, which is around 168 grams. So this here is actually pretty light. I've worked with heavier mice. On my daily driver at work, I actually use MX Master, which I'm really happy with. It's a little larger than this one here in grip wise, but I am really happy with this here. So to go through the buttons here, you have your, at the bottom here, this is pretty much why I bought it. This here is the DPI shift, which when you hold it in, shifts to a specific setting until you let it go, and it goes back to your DPI default DPI setting, or the setting you want. And that is probably the one reason why I went with this mouse here, and that's because I've had trouble actually playing a lot of FPS games, switching between the DPI when I do, for instance, sniping or other tasks. And even though there are DPIs up and down, which are these two right here, it really didn't work for me. The switching between them, the buttons were on the Ouroboros were laid out. The Ouroboros has actually a click in where you press it in, but it just wasn't natural that squeezing the mouse was the way to go. At least not for me. A lot of other people said it's great, and I'm guessing all the Razer sponsor gamers that were probably involved in designing the Ouroboros, and many other mouse probably said this is the way they could do it. It's not my preference. It might not be yours either. I'm just telling you this here is my preference. So that's one of the selling points for me, at least, and the positioning it, because it just feels natural. And you can see my thumb right now is just at the edge of it, which I really like. So we have our DPI up, we have our DPI down, we have a back and forth, which is pretty much standard for Logitech mouse. You have your keys, your buttons right here. You can map them to whatever we want to through the software, which we're going to go through right after this here. You have your DPI profile indicator, which profile you on. You have your profile button, which is this one here. You click it and it will switch between profile. The one that I was on was profile 2. This is profile or profile 1 was I on, this is profile 2, and this is profile 3. And you can see my different profiles have different lighting. So let's switch it back to profile 1, and it will go up and do the green setting, which matches my Razer mousepad. This here is the button to either have a flowing or a locked in wheel. You have, of course, your button where you can press it down, and you also have your left and right click. And that's pretty much it for the mouse. You can see this here is plastic all the way. We have a rubberized amount here, which is pretty not even though if it gets sweaty, well, it's hard to say. I haven't tested it out getting sweaty because at the moment it's still winter here. So maybe during the summer when it gets a little bit hotter in this room here, you also can see it has some texture here that is giving you a nice firm grip. I do see at some point this texture getting rugged and used over time, but again, the mouse here is around well, I think it's around 70. I think it was $70 to $80. I think 90 is the highest I've seen it go to. I got it for 70, I think, and it's pretty cheap compared to the Ouroboros, which is a lot more expensive. So yeah, if it ever breaks and it's still around, if it doesn't have like another version out of it, you can definitely easily go ahead and switch it out. And it actually has a nice design also. The cord here, in my opinion, as you can see, it's actually stretched pretty far right now, but I actually got it pretty snug at the moment. My the cord could be longer, and I think the cord length is I can't actually remember what the length is, but I think it's around 1.5 feet. Or 1.5 meters, sorry. I can't remember what that in feet is. Sorry, I suck at conversions, but you can go check that out, or you can go to the description here where there will be a link to the specifications of this here mouse. So as you can see here, it is pretty. It's not a large mouse, but it's not a small mouse. It is not ambidextrous. If some people out there is looking for that, I am a right-hand guy, and I know a lot of people like that universal mouse, which the Ouroboros actually was. That was actually the great thing about it. But again, yeah, it wasn't for me. So far, I've been really happy with this here, and I'm probably gonna keep this mouse until it actually breaks. I can't see me switching from this here anytime soon. So let's switch over to the software and check that out and do a conclusion. So looking at the software, as you can see here, you pretty much download it, install it, and it works really well. It has some, I've seen some minor bugs, but that's more of me getting used to actually using the software. So the first screen you look at is going to be like switching from onboard memory to actually the automatic game detection. I like using the memory on the mouse because I don't want the game to take over any of the settings, any of the tuning that I've done. The next thing you can do is go ahead and actually tweak all the buttons. Of course, there's a click down here that I forgot to mention before. You have your left and right, you have your up and down DPI, you have your switching profile, which I talked about. There are 3 profiles so far, and of course the DPI down and the DPI up and down. This is the DPI switch or shift, sorry. And as you can see, I have my first profile here. The first profile for me is pretty simple, and you can either type in the numbers here, or you can just actually go ahead. As you can see, this here is really slow. I like my first profile, which is a lot faster. And you can switch it between what you want to. You can also assign a default, so that is going to be the default that it goes to every time you load the profile, and then you can switch it up. and I'm using the DPI up and down here, these two here. You can switch it down, and as you can see, the yellow or the orange one is going to be the shift. So that's the shift where you want to go, and you can tune this as much as you want. So for instance, if you think, okay, I'm going to play a game here and I need some more DPI, you can just switch it up and go to the 6400, which I use. I like the 32. That's pretty much nice for me. I can really aim. And then you can also assign which one is good, should be the shift. You could also, for instance, go with a really low DPI and then have the shift be on a high DPI depending on his. The report rate is pretty much from 125 to 1000 depending on what you want. You can again set the profiles as you want. This here is a more closer profile, and you can pretty much also have this here's one profile that I haven't really messed around with, and it's also like only 500. I pretty much stick to one profile and have it tune in so I can use the different settings here. That's me. The next thing here is gonna be the lighting, and this is also profile based. I have it pulsing green because I used to have Razer set up. My mouse mat is a Razer. My keyboard is at the moment a Razer also. So I pretty much went with green pulsing. But you can pretty much do pretty much whatever you want. If we go to profile 2, we can just mess around with that. Go with red. Switch on and off the loco. You can switch on and off the DPI adjustment. You can set a breathing effect, coloring, all of that. You can pretty much go nuts. Also, the great thing is that I've noticed while playing the Division is it actually at some points can switch, and that's why I thought it was broken or anything. But it actually can switch over, so the game actually gives you feedback on how. On what's happening. So for instance, I've seen like for instance the light turning red here, even though I was using profile 1 because it was low on health. So something like that can happen. At least that's what I've seen. You can adjust the rate, the brightness, how bright it's gonna be. You can compare it to your keyboard. You can pretty much adjust it. This is also select the device to sync to, so mouse, and if you have other Logitech devices like a keyboard or a headset, you could pretty much do this all in one because this here is the same program no matter what device you use. At least from looks of it, this is the first time I've been introduced to using Logitech's gaming software. You could also, depending on if you have a mouse pad that is one of the specific, you can preset it. You can actually go, I have the factory default. I haven't messed around with this here too much. You can add new surfaces if you want to and adjust it how it's going to react. This here is pretty much the key mapping settings, which I haven't actually messed too much with. Shows which key you press the most and all that. So it's pretty much recording what you do mostly. Then we have the settings here, run at startup, illumination, graphics and all that. You have your profiles, the default profile. You can also switch to games if you want to, the Division. I leave it at default. That's what I like because I use this here for my daily driver. That means both gaming and a lot of other things. So yeah, it really depends on what you like. The program has a lot of things. Also, it has a lot of social features, and it also has like this here will switch you over to the Logitech gaming site. It also auto updates. It also checks for firmware and all that good stuff. So if you switch over here, you can check the firmware here. It should be up to date for me. And last check, as you can see, that is actually today when I'm recording. So plenty of stuff here, pretty easy to figure out. And so far, after messing around with it, installing is pretty easy. I've had okay time with the Razer Synapses, which I still have right here because of my keyboard. I have not had any compatibility issues. I had formerly, a long time ago, a SteelSeries Sensei mouse where the program actually was not compatible running with the Razer software. And one of the reasons why I will never buy a SteelSeries mouse again, I'm pretty much off that wagon. So that puts us into the final conclusion. Is this a great mouse? In my opinion, it is. You can go to the website here, just scrolling down here and giving you a look. And I can only say for the $70 to $90 you can find it, it should be around 80 at the moment. And with all the things that it can do, if you're not really hardcore RGB and wanted to shine and do everything stuff, I think this here will cover you mostly. I can only say the only grief I have with it is maybe a little bit short cord, but that's maybe because my desktop is placed a little bit far away. I could use the pass through in my keyboard, but again, I just don't like the cord hanging around. I don't have a way to actually keep it away, so I do it like this, and that works for me so far. And yeah, it's been going great, and as you can see, it's really smooth experience so far. Um, I can only say, try picking it up. It's got my approval at least. And that's pretty much it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video here, and please subscribe. Or if you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, please dislike it so I can get a feel what actually I'm doing wrong or if I'm not. Please leave a comment. Please leave also a comment if you want to see other stuff. Giving me feedback on what type of videos you as a viewer want to see would be really awesome. I know a lot of tech stuff compared to, for instance, Windows operating systems, all that. I can do more of that. Right now, I'm really focusing on gaming because I play a lot of Division now, so I do a lot of streaming right now. And you subscribe, you can go ahead and get a notification when I'm live, or just watch the video afterwards. And you can also follow me on Twitter because that's pretty much where I communicate with most people outside my private little family that I have on Facebook. I don't really go public on that. I keep that private. But that Twitter is pretty much the way to get in contact me with, and also send in some ideas that way. I do every time, so every now and then some polls. I talk videos, I talk movies, I talk games. I'm the whole type of guy here and love tech and geek stuff. So follow me on that, and until next time, bye.